Here.
Minter? Here.
Here's a part.
Madam Chair, the clerk has presence of the quorum.
Thank you. Stand for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Hornick, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, ma'am. I was wondering if we could consider moving to action item number 5. We have a field trip request, and I saw Ms. Kennan walk in. I didn't know. Hey, Rebecca, good to see you. I didn't know if we could move that up under maybe perhaps consent agenda and do right before recognitions, just to allow her to go. Just kind of put it up if anybody's okay with that.
I move to approve the agenda as amended. Second.
All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on. Consent agenda. Would you like to do hers first and then go into the minutes?
Oh, please, we can do them right after consent agenda. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, the minutes and financial reports. I was able to review those, so I moved to approve the minutes from January 8th meeting, the March 2024 financial report, and the monthly school nutrition fund report as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
All right, moving on to the monthly operating bills. I was able to review those. I believe Ms. Harrington was also able to review those. I moved to approve the March 2024 operating bills in the amount of $5,896,677.36.
I second that.
All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Dr. Hornick?
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Kennan, if you or Mr. Price would like to come forward, I know we have a field trip request this evening, so please come forward and we will take care of that. You'll tell us a little bit about the trip, and I believe is this a first? For some of your students, so I think it'd be good for the board and the public to hear a little bit about what's been going on.
So this is year 5 for cosmetology here in Orange County, and this will be the first year that we have students going to state competition for Skills USA. So it's held in Virginia Beach. It's a state conference and competition. They will compete in the fantasy mannequin competition. I'm not sure the number of contestants, but it's from all over CTE schools in Virginia. It is, again, in Virginia Beach, a 2-night stay, and every day from the time we get there Friday, Saturday, until the time we leave Sunday is planned out. I did send in the agenda, so if you guys want to review that and see a little more about it, along with just the scope of the competition. So you can see a little bit more about what cosmetology does, and when they go to competition, what is required. It's a pretty strict agenda, dress code, a lot of rules they have to follow, safety, sanitation, and it's just all in preparation for their state board exams, which we're also going to do on Monday. So, busy weekend.
Congratulations to having students go. That's incredible.
Madam Chair, I move to approve this field trip request, overnight field trip request as presented.
And a second?
Second.
All those
And good luck.
Thank you.
all those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the board. Ms. Kennan, thank you for your excellence as always, and good luck to you and your students. At this time, we have some recognition this evening, and so Ms. Sarver, we're going to start with you. I was told you have to go first, or you get anxious. But I know we have some community partnerships and some folks we would like to recognize, so Ms. Sarver, we'll turn it over to you.
Great. So
Dr. Hornick, members of the board, it is my privilege to recognize two community groups that support environmental education and meaningful watershed educational experiences in Orange County. I have two people here. The first one is Brian Hoffman, and he is with Friends of the Rappahannock. So as stated on their website, Friends of the Rappahannock education programs educate and empower individuals of all age groups to become river stewards who will care for the Rappahannock for generations. Friends of the Rappahannock has supported environmental education in Orange County for many years, both at their nature preserve on the Rappahannock in Fredericksburg, and then also at several tributaries here in Orange County. Most recently, Friends of the Rappahannock has facilitated Orange County's participation in a multi-county National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, so NOAA, grant that helped provide classroom supplies, in-school instruction, and student experiences to support meaningful watershed educational experiences in 4th grade classrooms and environmental science at OCHS. So thank you very much to Friends of the Rappahannock. Okay, it is also my privilege to recognize Culpeper Soil and Water Conservation District, and we have Stephanie DiNicola here. Culpeper Soil and Water Conservation District has also supported environmental education in Orange County for many years. This includes in-classroom lessons, rain gardens and erosion control projects on school grounds, trips to local areas to see environmental education in action, and environmental-based competitions like the Envirothon. Culpeper Soil and Water Conservation District also facilitated Orange County's participation in a multi-county NOAA grant that helped support middle grades. So between these two organizations, we've had a NOAA grant for K-12, which is amazing for us to have that. So please also recognize Stephanie DiNicola. Thank you to both these groups, and thank you for letting us recognize them.
I would just like to thank you also for bringing them forward and for advocating for this program. Conservation and our environment is so critical, and it's great that kids are getting involved in that, both at a young age and continuing that opportunity. So Friends of Rappahannock and Culpeper Water and Soil Conservation.
Culpeper Soil and Water Conservation.
Thank you, them also. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your support for our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. And we have some student and some artwork to celebrate this evening. And so Ms. Sarah Howell is going to come forward. And we have quite a list of young artists to present this evening. Sarah, I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening, Dr. Hornick and members of the board. It's with great pleasure that we gather tonight to acknowledge the exceptional achievements of our students and the dedication and passion of our remarkable art teachers. Tonight's recognitions mark a celebration of talent, hard work, and creativity. We're going to begin by honoring the students who have been chosen as the People's Choice Award winners for the VSBA 2023-24 Art Festival. Students, as you're recognized and come forward to get your certificate, if you wouldn't mind standing over there by the podium until everybody has been recognized for People's Choice. So we'll start with our art teachers. Okay.
Good evening, Dr. Hornick and the school board members and ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Chase Chiarilli, are you out there? Chase Chiarilli? Chiarilli. Is Chase out there? No. Okay. Well, Pablo Picasso said that all children are artists, and it's our job to keep them believing that. And Chase, my little artist who did the beautiful little sunlit landscape right there, he, if you take the letters of his name, it just spells out Chase handles art so effortlessly, and also so excellently and so efficiently. And so he does a great job in art. He's a responsible and respectful young man, and I wish to congratulate him. Good job, Chase. We will get this to you tomorrow.
Locust Grove Elementary is next.
I had the privilege of recognizing Nora Pfizer. She's a 5th grader at our school, so sadly she will be leaving us. She's a very, very talented person, and just whatever she does extremely well. Maybe takes a little longer, but she's just very, very committed to doing her absolute best. But it's, besides being a wonderful artist, she's a wonderful person, a good friend to other students, helpful to other students, encouraging, and just an all-around wonderful person.
Sorry, give us a 1 second. These things stick together. And they got a little moved, so we should be able to get that for you. Good. There we are. Our next school. Next school is UES.
Okay, Santiago Perez Ruiz. You wanna come up? Santiago is a 1st grader at Unionville Elementary School, and his art was the bear. If you go right out to the left, you'll see it. You'll definitely see it because there's a lot of personality in his artwork. I love to watch Santiago work. He constantly stands back from his art and he looks at to see what's missing and then goes back in to add that final touch. Santiago has a real artist eye. All right, Alexis Jones. Alexis is a 5th grader at Lightfoot Elementary School. And I always think of Alexis as a sponge. She always comes to art class wanting to learn new techniques. And her artwork is the parrot, which can be seen right outside as well. She likes working in mixed media. So when she did that parrot, she combined drawing with oil pastels and watercolors. And I just love how she always challenges herself to learn new things. And I have one more, Kaden Black. Keeps me on my toes. He's a 5th grader at Lightfoot Elementary School as well. He is an amazing fiber arts and origami artist. If you could see his skills with yarn and paper folding, they would just amaze you. But this year, his confidence has really grown in drawing, and you walk right out that door and you will see Chili Bear, which is his work that is on display. I'm very proud of you, Kate.
So I'm here to recognize Harley Congdon. Harley, can you come on down? Harley is among the most detail-oriented students I have. Her work generally showcases marine life. Her work outside ventures really far from what is the norm for her, her comfort zone, and you can really see all the hard work that she put into this. She is incredibly focused and has a clear vision and idea of what she wants her artwork to be, and I definitely know what it's like to feel when she's frustrated with something not going to plan, but she gets it done and works incredibly hard. So if you get a chance, please look at her artwork outside. It is the 2-point perspective street view with a tree in the center. That was one way that she added back in that little aspect of nature. So good job, Harley.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jamie Howie, and this is Miss Emily West. We are the art teachers at Orange County High School, and we are here tonight to introduce several students. First tonight is Mackenzie Newberry. Mackenzie is a senior at Orange County High School, and she possesses a natural gift for creativity and art. I've had the pleasure of teaching her in all 3 levels of visual art offered at the high school. She has also taken independent studies with me to build her portfolio and perfect her artistic skills. You may have seen her work before, as she has been recognized at this competition in years past, so she is a repeat winner. The artwork she's being recognized for tonight showcases her incredible attention to detail, and her final product is clearly captivating. Her painting is there on the end on the outside, that beautiful sunset. Mackenzie recently had other paintings and pieces that were on display at the 2024 Fine Arts Festival and the Young Visions exhibition as well. She also recently accompanied me to OES on the day of service to paint new games on the playground blacktop for students to enjoy. She is a self-motivated student with a bright future in tattoo art ahead of her. Congratulations, Mackenzie.
I'm here to recognize Rylan Beads. Rylan is a sophomore, and I currently have her in my Art 2 program. The piece that was selected was from Miss Howie's Art 1, who she had just taken in the fall. She is absolutely incredibly detailed in all of her work and very, very deliberate in her actions. You can see the creativity, and just speaking to her on any level, the creativity that comes through, the way that she dresses, she creates She interacts with all of her friends. She also dedicates the time that is necessary to practice those skills. Asks the right questions and is always eager to challenge herself. She's very, very eager to challenge herself, always going the extra mile, especially in my class in the R2 program. She's a member of the OCHS chapter of the National Art Honor Society and has volunteered at various community projects. She actually went with me on the day of service as well and created this absolutely incredible uniform that I think the kids are obsessed with. That's what I hear. She's currently enrolled in my class, like I said, and her work has been all over the school and is in such display throughout Young Visions as well. I hope that she continues to share the art. I'm really sad that I will not have her next semester because she'll hopefully just go back to Miss Howie. So thank you, Rollin, for everything that you do, and I can't wait to see what she creates as a junior and senior.
Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to be here this evening. Mrs. Reeves, who is our art teacher, was unable to attend, but she wrote some really complimentary things about Miss Audrey Luck. Is Audrey here? No, I don't see her here. I didn't know she was out in the hallway. Audrey is an outstanding 7th grade student, and we are really truly proud of her and her ability in the art classroom. During the semester, she was introduced to many new mediums and excelled at all of them. For this assignment, she created a foiled embossed image of the house from up using string, tinfoil, and Sharpies. With this assignment, it required a lot of patience and detailed work. She spent a lot of time and put forth a lot of effort in this piece between gluing down the strings and pressing the foil down to create the raised images without ripping the foil. She succeeded in creating a beautiful image of the house, and her classmates love the finished product as well, and it's out on this end of the hallway. I also wanted to say, if you have a moment, check out Prospect Heights Middle School Succulents as you come in the door. That was artwork from Mrs. Reeves' classroom, and we're very proud of both her and Mrs. Reeves. Thank you.
It's my privilege to be here tonight to recognize one of our art students from Gordon Barber Elementary School. Warren Pack, our art teacher, could not be here tonight, so I'm honored to recognize Allison Matthews. Ms. Pack wrote a few things about Allison. I'll share them with you now. Allison has a natural talent for art, but also continues to grow her skills outside of class by constantly drawing, watching videos to improve her skills, and even adding her designs to her shoes. She's wearing some of those tonight. Her vibrant artwork reflects not only her exceptional talent, but also her love of cute animals. This piece of artwork that she created is created by gluing small pieces of yarn to cardboard and essentially drawing with the yarn. We're very proud of Allison and all of her talent that she's displayed with our school.
Congratulations to all of our People's Choice Awards. We're going to take a picture first with People's Choice, and then we'll move on to the Judges' Choice. Congratulations to all the People's Choice. Next, we would like to honor the students who were chosen among all of the schools to represent the grade bands for K2, 3, 5, 6, 8, and 9, 12. These students have been chosen as the recipients of the Judges' Choice Award winners for the VSBA 2023-24 Art Festival. Students, as you're called when you come forward to get your certificate, if you could also stand at the podium or the risers and wait until all of the winners have been called. Thank you so much. We're going to start with OES.
Good evening. My name is Lacey Coffey. I'm the art teacher at Orange Elementary School, and I'm here to recognize Ivy Cordray, who's a second grader at our school. She is an exemplary student, both in and out of the art room. She is a very creative artist who demonstrates excellent craftsmanship in her work. She is so thoughtful in everything that she does, and really thinks through every assignment and just does amazing work. I chose this artwork, which is one of the snowmen on the easel, for the competition because of her great use of value in the composition. She is an absolute pleasure to have in class, and I'm so excited to see all that she will create in the future.
Grade 3 to 5 winner came from Gordon Barber.
Good evening again. I'm pleased to introduce Alexa Callahan. Alexa has always shown natural talent in art, but as most artists do, she has a bit of perfectionist side to her. Over the past few years, I've seen her confidence in her skills and herself grow, and it's directly impacted her art in a positive way. She's always curious to learn more and improve her skills. She's a pleasure to teach, and Ms. Pack has enjoyed seeing her growth. Alexa's stained glass is created by making a symmetrical design online and then using Sharpies on transparency film. Congratulations, Alexa.
Our 6 to 8 winner came from Locust Grove Middle School.
All right, I am presenting this award to Liliana Vasquez. Liliana Vasquez is an 8th grader at Locust Grove Middle School. She is on the academic team and models the school's core values. In art class, Liliana is dedicated to fully realizing her ideas and scrutinizing every detail. Her work demonstrates skillful craftsmanship and understanding of composition. Recognizable characteristics of her work include smooth gradients, careful details, and nature-inspired subject matter. On a personal level, Liliana is kind, personable, and humorous. She has an incredible work ethic that will help her succeed in high school, and if she chooses to continue making art, which I hope in her next art class. So congratulations, Liliana.
Our 9 to 12 winner is from Orange County High School.
I'm pleased to be introducing our Best in Show winner, Sadie Reynolds. Sadie is a senior at Orange County High School and has left a lasting impact during her time in our visual arts program. I have known Sadie for the past 4 years. She has taken every art course offered at the high school and has even completed an independent study with me to further explore her interests and creative capabilities. The artwork you see on display tonight, the oil pastel landscape there, is her creation inspired by Claude Monet's Impressionist style after she visited his gardens at Giverny this past summer. As part of a study abroad she completed through the Blue Ridge Studio of Fine Arts here in Orange. She is a member of the Blue Ridge Virtual Governor School National Honor Society and has been the president of the OCHS chapter of the National Art Honor Society for 2 years in a row. She is always willing to help, and her avidity for art inspires others to do their best. I have entered Sadie's artwork in several shows, including the OCHS Fine Arts Fair and the Youth Art Exhibition. Outside of school, Sadie has volunteered her time at various community events and establishments, including the Art Center in Orange, and face painting for children at local festivals. She also designed and completed a mural for our Student Security Officer's Office, designed a logo for our Day of Service initiative, and is working with a local nonprofit to design a mural in town. She really does it all. And I know she will excel in the next chapter of her life as she attends Virginia Tech University in the fall to major in industrial design. So congratulations to Sadie. Recognition tonight, we'd like to thank Ms. Hallam, Dr. Honecker and I would both like to thank Ms. Hallam for coordinating the arts this year. And we would like to extend our thanks to families for supporting their student artists and their interest in art, as well as our incredibly talented team of art teachers. We'd like to give our art teachers a big hand. We'd also like to acknowledge our principals who support and nurture arts in their schools each day. And in speaking about the role that our teachers have played, not only do they teach their students the technical aspects of art while nurturing their individual interests, and they also just encourage them to share their talents to make the world a better place for all of us. We truly appreciate our art teachers' efforts in the classroom, as well as their incredible work on the Fine Arts Festival, the Young Visions exhibit, which is currently on display at the Art Center here in town. Within this amazing team tonight, we would like to recognize Mr. Lentine. This is Mr. Lentine. We would like to thank Mr. Lentine for his many years of service at Locust Grove Primary School in Orange County. Often serving as a mentor, Mr. Lentine has made numerous contributions, including the art exhibit here at the Teak building, the traveling art display, and his work with the Lake of the Woods Arts Council, as well as the art lessons for our summer school students. Mr. Lentine supports our community and inspires his students and his colleagues by his passion for art, his classroom known as Arts Diner, as well as his magic shows and integrated music, which are often integrated into his art class. When it comes to art teachers, Mr. Lentine truly is a masterpiece. We're going to miss him.
Okay, well, Dr. Hornick just asked me if I could share a quick story about something that happened just not too long ago. When I taught in Alaska, I taught there for 27 years, and it was pretty common that I would have a student that I would teach, and then later on, I would teach their daughter or their son because of so many years. But I've only been here 17 years, and that I was just thinking one day that hadn't happened. But one day I was talking about Alaska, and this one woman heard me, and she said, you know, I used to go to school in Alaska. And I said, well, where was that? And she said, in Fairbanks. I was at Anween Elementary School, and I said, whoa, I taught in Anween Elementary School. And she said, I have a picture with the art teacher. I said, really? Was it a man? I was the only man teacher there, and that didn't change much, did it? No. I was the only man teacher there for the 27 years. And so she said, well, my dad has that picture, let me check with him. And so there she was, and she happened to be the mother of a student that I'm teaching right now at Locust Road Primary School. A really great thrill and joy to teach here in this school district for the past 17 years. Thank you all very much for being part of my family.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. That is all this evening for recognition.
We will take a 5-minute recess so that anybody
Did he laugh?
Yes, ma'am. We have 10 speakers signed up tonight, and if you'd like, I'll call them up 3 at a time. Okay. The first 3 speakers are Nicole Pappas, Kim Hoosier, and Alan Daniel.
My name is Nicole Pappas. I live at 115 Pleasant Grove Road in Locust Grove. I was so proud of you all at the last meeting when you agreed to have a facilitated workshop on school board governance. I served 12 years on the school board, and we had a governance workshop every single year along with an annual board evaluation. One of the best questions a facilitator asked was, what do you want your legacy to be? Our legacy began when we committed to being the best school board team we could be. We embraced and took advantage of the California School Board Association. You should not take lightly the value of a state school board association. It is priceless. Each of us attended the CSBA's Masters in Governance program and annual retraining. It made us strong and effective. It taught us how to do the hard work of the school board and how to keep student learning as our primary focus. You have a lot of work ahead of you, and your time is best spent on the board's work, not the work others can do. Here is a small sample of the priorities and direction we took the district in just 12 short years. We constantly reviewed demographics and kept pace with the population growth. In 12 years, we opened 6 new schools and another one was under construction. We collaborated with the city to improve our immigrant neighborhood. We sold them surplus school property. They turned it into a park and a senior center. We rebuilt our Title I elementary school. We stood fast against community members who wanted to reverse a decades-old board decision regarding middle schools because the data didn't show, or the data showed that there was more harm to reversing the decision than there was a benefit. We agreed with community members who wanted a second high school because the data showed that our 3,000 high school students would be best served with 2 high schools rather than 1. We issued a $198 million general obligation bond and had to work our tails off to get the community to let us. The bond allowed us to upgrade facilities, technology, and grounds in 9 elementary schools, 3 middle schools, and the high school. We added classroom buildings, CTE classrooms, a new sports stadium, and began construction of a second high school. We also survived an elementary school shooting where a 6- and 7-year-old were injured. The shooting happened on Friday and the students returned to class on Monday because the school community refused to allow the shooting to define them. When I left the board, I knew I was part of a legacy of excellence that continues to this day. What will your legacy be? Will you do the hard work that only the school board can and must do? Will you work with the superintendent to plan, set direction, goals, and priorities? Will you make sure that the school division is in a better place when you leave than it was when you started? Are you committed to working as a team to continually focus on improving student learning? As a community, we want you to see you working as an effective team. We want you to be the best school board ever. Our students deserve nothing less. Can I tell you something about the school shooting? No. Okay. On March 26th, I, along with other parents of Orange County Public Schools, received an email from OCPS that stated, and I quote, "Join Orange County Public Schools," end quote, for a town hall with expert speaker Brad Huddleston. This flyer was sent out on OCPS letterhead and had the school information at the bottom. These were all indicators that this event was sponsored and sanctioned by OCPS. I was interested in finding out more about the speaker who would be representing the school board and Orange County Public Schools generally. As a parent, I wanted to see how the school board was addressing school concerns, and I wanted to find out more about the educational professionals we were inviting to speak. I went online to his website and was appalled at what I found. I was looking for his educational credentials, links to scholarly articles that he might have published, and what institutional affiliations he had. I was shocked to see that Brad Huddleston runs a ministry where he serves as a paid speaker to private Christian schools. On his website, he quotes an expert who discusses the role of the devil in technology. This quote states, "I am convinced the devil lives in our phones and is wreaking havoc on our children," end quote. I'm not sure how the devil is associated with the issues of Orange County Public Schools and how this is even a relevant topic to enhancing education in our county. As an academic, I can assure you that citing sources that use the devil are neither scholarly, peer-reviewed, nor make you an expert. Moreover, OCPS is a public institution and therefore is obligated not to be affiliated with any religion. However, I am receiving an email from Orange County Public Schools that is supporting someone with no academic credentials who is pushing a religious agenda. This is clearly unethical and unprofessional. After contacting the school system, I was informed that this was a private event sponsored by Melissa Anderson. Ms. Anderson has every right to hold whatever event she would like as an individual, but she has no right to use public resources and the apparent backing of Orange County Public Schools to support her own private events or agendas. This is clearly an abuse of her position and a misuse of public resources. I am not sure if Ms. Anderson was emboldened to send out this flyer out of her hubris or her complete ignorance of professional conduct. However, either is inexcusable and she should resign immediately. Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Hornick and school board members. I wanted to come to you today to address a few items that happened so far this year, which I find rather concerning. At the last school board meeting, board member Quintern stated, "You can send us an email, we can go back and forth that way." Yet my wife is still waiting on a response to her email that she sent on April 1st. It has been over 2 weeks without a response. Maybe Quintern was meaning responses will be given to those she agrees with. I don't know the reason why she failed to respond to my wife's email, despite Quintern's comments saying she would. To me, it feels like Quintern has an issue with my wife. During the last board meeting, Quintern referenced 2 things that involved my wife, and did so without context. The reference of being called Mr. Quintern was when my wife was given public comment about using preferred pronouns and was done to show Quintern how it felt when someone used incorrect pronouns. Apparently, you didn't pick up on that then. Maybe you understand it now since you showed it bothered you. It seems like you still missed the point though. The other thing Quintern mentioned was when my wife spoke about Gary McFadden's public comment a few minutes before hers and how his poll was presented to the board earlier was not scientific. Instead, it was run off of his website, answered by his friends, which wasn't a true representation of the community. One question I wanted to raise is, why is the board focusing public comment and not focusing on education issues such as our current truancy problems, vaping, fighting, racist and discriminatory behavior, etc. Chair Anderson is also fighting what appears to be an imaginary battle against the budget, yet she's willing to spend money to go to a not required summit put on by the Noah Webster Education Foundation. The summit was backed by conservative and religious groups such as the Leadership Group, the Family Foundation, the Middle Resolution Policy Foundation, the Heritage Foundation, and Project 2025. At the summit, there were many speakers from the Liberty University and are associated with very biased organizations. The summit was anything but fair and unbiased event. Brad Huddleston was also a speaker there. For those that are unaware, Brad is a speaker that Anderson was going to have at her town hall meeting until people started realizing who he is and that his Facebook is full of homophobic memes and that he is a pastor who talks to Christian schools, and concerns over separation of church and state were raised by many in the community. I find it concerning that this event was advertised by the school and Anderson announced it as in her official capacity as a board member during a school board meeting. Looking at both of these events related to Anderson, I find it rather concerning. Separation of church and state is a real part of our Constitution and is something that I served in the military to protect. It sounds like Anderson may be a better fit for a Christian school board and not a public school board. To quote Reagan, "We establish no religion in this country. We command no worship. We mandate no belief, nor will we ever. Church and state are and must remain separate."
The next three speakers are Sarah Yeager, Marsha Landau, and DJ Anglin.
Good evening, Dr. Hornick and members of the board. I first of all want to apologize to Dr. Hornick for the lack of appreciation that some members of this board showed by blatantly disregarding your budget recommendations regarding administrative personnel. You obviously worked very hard determining the best use of public funds. It is a shame that some members of the board do not value your expertise and possibly want to breach your contract by not allowing you to perform the job they hired you to do. Perhaps they have ulterior motives or think they know better than the trained professionals, and that is why they ignore best practices when serving as board members. I'm also here tonight calling Chelsea Quintern to immediately recuse herself and step down from the school board's legislative committee due to conflict of interest. As the chief of staff of Yesley Vega, a registered Republican politician, Chelsea lacks the ability to remain impartial and nonpartisan. A quick perusal of Chelsea's social media presence shows that she only aligns herself with strongly conservative and often controversial political figures. I believe that Chelsea's interest in spearheading this committee is not only to pull Orange County Public Schools out of the truly nonpartisan advocacy and lobbying group, the VSBA, but primarily serves to further her political aspirations rather than serving the educational and funding needs of Orange County in a balanced and impartial way. If Orange chooses to leave the Virginia School Board Association, it will be an enormous detriment to our school's governmental funding, collective bargaining power, and best practices guidance for leadership. Finally, I come tonight asking the board to create a policy that reviews and approves all board member training. In the spirit of transparency, any training that board members receive, which is paid for by public funds, should be reviewed for its quality, content, and impartiality in regards to best educational and governance practices. The Noah Webster Education Foundation School Board Policy Summit, which Melissa Anderson attended in January, was funded and led by right-wing think tanks and conservative Christian organizations. The personal, political, and religious affiliations that school board members hold are absolutely their right, but those agendas must be kept out of our public schools. I want to remind you all that you sit on a public school board, which is governmentally funded. The First Amendment of the Constitution states that the government shall make no law establishing a national religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. This indicates there must be a separation of church and state so that no one religion becomes favored above any others in our government. Our schools are not your personal, political, or religious battleground where you can leave our children as the collateral damage. Your constituents will hold you accountable.
Could we address the audience?
Yes. Please hold applauses for all speakers.
And booths. Please hold booths.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. And booths too. Yes. Thank you.
I'm up.
Yes.
Marsha Landau, 14162 Markey Road, Unionville, Virginia. I want to acknowledge and thank the board majority for working to keep the promises made during your campaigns. You won your seats with large majority votes, and with that received a mandate from Orange County citizens to return our schools from woke indoctrination to traditional education. To the vocal minority who take issue with the current agenda, I want to remind you, you voted and you lost. In a more civil world, it might be possible to find common ground and even places for compromise. But sadly, I don't think we live in that world anymore. Perhaps the minority would like to reach out and make that attempt. It might work better than sneaking around and making threats and a lot of noise. I would like to remind them that social justice, CRT, SEL, and the rest of the alphabet has no place in mathematics classes, history classes, science or English classes, and whatever other subject is meant to teach your children how to think, not what to think. In a traditional classroom, a student should not be able to tell if the teacher is progressive or conservative, gay or straight, human or Vulcan, only that they know well the subject they are teaching and have the skill to communicate it to students clearly and in a lasting way. No applause there.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I stand before you again tonight, more or less, just to talk about you are headed in the right direction. The decisions you're making are what the county and the citizenry elected you to do. This is the direction we want you to go. You are doing what you were supposed to be doing. You are doing what you promised during your campaigns, and you are continuing to push forward that agenda. You all work for the citizenry of Orange County. The superintendent works for you all, not the other way around. We did put you out there to review budgets, to ask questions, to be fiscally responsible. Yes, to review best practices. You're all educated people, you can do that. Despite people who get upset with their little thinking and the prejudices and bigotry that they have toward other religions and the ways they think, because it's non-accepted. If you took that train of thought, what are you going to do? Start finding out what every teacher who teaches in the schools' beliefs are, and if they have any, not let them teach? That would be ridiculous. Holding town halls is actually something that would be good because it gets you out in the community. And if you have a speaker come, and that speaker is a Christian affiliated speaker, so be it. I'm capable of doing the research and knowing whether or not I want to hear what they have to say. I'm a grown adult. I can do that. I can also decide whether or not I want those values shared with my children, because they're my children, not the Commonwealth of Virginia's children. And I want you pushing the values that are reflected in the community. And if I don't like it, I can make that change. Continue to do the good work that you're doing. You have a lot of fight ahead. You're going to disagree, that's okay. But you're doing your job, and it doesn't matter where your political values lie. You've never hidden any of them, any of you. Even those who've run as independents. Everybody knows where you stand. It's okay. Be proud of it, own it, use that to create healthy debate amongst yourselves and find a path forward. That's what we want. Those of you who have been elected and won, you won by large margins, not even close to a joke. You have our support. Hopefully the rest of you will come along and see the direction Orange County wants to go and the citizenry wants to go. We're not California. Never want to be. It's been bankrupt a few times, largely because of the school systems. Thank you.
The next three speakers are Emily Potts, Alyssa Waller, and John Floyd. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed Richard Poor. He should be first, and then Miss Potts, and then Alyssa Waller.
Yeah, I'm here, first of all, thank you, Dr. Hornick, Ms. Byram, and school board. Appreciate your good service to us. I'm here to speak about something that I don't think has been introduced yet. I don't know, but Jackson Hamilton is to present a proposal. Am I able to speak to that now? Okay. Jackson will be presenting a proposal to you to add student representation to the school board. And he has a good proposal. I think you may have seen it already, but I stand in support of Jackson Hamilton's recommendation to you. And my wife, Karen, is here too. She as well supports this, and I believe a number of others do as well. But this is a win for our students. It's a win for you. It's a win for our students at the high school to participate in democracy. As I understand, the representatives will be chosen by the students, and I think one of the representatives may be chosen by you. But I just stand here to support that proposal that's coming to you. And I thank Jackson Hamilton for bringing that to us. It's a win. Way to go, buddy.
Okay, so really I don't know what I'm going to say other than, you know, bringing a Christian person here, not cool. We're not a Christian school. There are many other religions in this area. Whether you believe it or not, it is what it is. Ms. Quintern, as Mr. Daniel said, the Mr. Quintern was actually kind of funny because it put you in a position where you felt uncomfortable and you felt misgendered. There's a lot of people that happens to. I've been misgendered myself many, many, many times, and I let it roll off my shoulders. It is what it is. I know who I am. I'm okay with it. It is what it is. You people, yes, you were elected. If you want a supermajority, great. But this is not the direction that we want you to go, really. The people back there that said that, I'm not sure that all of Orange County really wants you to go that way. And then the other thing that I have to say is when it's put forward that you are going to basically, if Ms. Anderson, if you don't like the fact of what someone's saying or the content of what they want to speak and you want to throw them out, that's kind of harsh. That's freedom of speech, taking it away. Not a good thing. You're on a slippery slope doing that. And so, but as to Jackson's thing, I support that too. You should have the student body voting, vote for one of his students. It's an awesome thing. And the last thing I will say is, the last time we were here, somebody mentioned mental health. And when did mental health become an issue in schools? Mental health has always been an issue in the schools. I'm dealing with it right now with my kid. And thankfully, I have a school system and I have teachers and counselors there that will work with them and work with me on what's going on and inform me. It's a good thing. And being able to use that system to help them with their mental health is something that definitely needs to stay in this area. I know, it's my turn.
No fun facts tonight. Before I start my speech, if I could just have a second to thank you all for giving out those sunglasses. I happen to live maybe like a block or two from Orange Elementary, and was outside also looking at the eclipse, and to hear the pure excitement in those kids, I didn't know it was gonna cut into my speech. Pure excitement of those children, it just really did something to my heart. And that's something that you guys got right. I know you often hear a lot of things that you got wrong, but that right there, you got right. I truly believe you sparked the mind of a future chemist, a future astronomer, a future somebody in science, just because you offered to give those sunglasses. So, you know, I wanted to give you your flowers now rather than to give them to you later. Okay, I'm sorry. Giving all honor to God, who sits high and loved us all before we ever had a label. He helps me on a Christian journey to walk in love and love my neighbor, all my neighbors, not ones we just pick and choose. The importance of career and technology programs in our school system. In today's rapidly evolving world, the acquisition of knowledge is crucial for success. While traditional education imparts facts and information, true success often requires a broader understanding encompassing practical skills and real-world experiences. This is where CTE programs play a vital role in preparing students for the challenges of the future. Our current state of our CTE programs in schools across the country cater to a significant number of students, providing them with essential skills and knowledge. In Virginia alone, 670,000 students are enrolled in CTE courses from grades 6 to 12. These programs align with the mission and focus statements of schools aiming to empower students with the necessary tools to excel in their chosen fields. CTE programs are a valuable part of any school. CTE offers a number of tangible advantages to students, to school, and to society as a whole. Here are 5 proven benefits: exploration of real career opportunities, industry credentials and certifications, development of career skills, improved graduation rates, bridges to future education. Challenges we are facing in our CTE program. Despite the evident benefits of CTE programs, challenges persist, hindering their full potential. One of the primary obstacles is a lack of adequate facilities to house these programs. The school board, instead of supporting the existing staff and curriculum, often set roadblocks that impede the progress of CTE programs. This is concerning, especially considering the growing demand for well-trained technical workers in various industries. Key players in our CTE programs. To address these challenges, collaboration among key stakeholders is essential. The superintendent, Dr. Hornick, along with our executive director of secondary education, Dr. Honaker, plays a crucial role in ensuring the CTE program aligns with the school's mission. Educators with their expertise develop curriculums that prepare students for real-world challenges. Additionally, community liaison Ellen Patera forged partnerships with local businesses, creating opportunities for CTE students to gain practical experience. I'd like to still give you my concerns. Despite the efforts of dedicated individuals within the education system, concerns remain regarding the prioritization of political agendas over student success. The decision to invest in additional administration roles instead of securing facilities for CTE program raises questions about the board's motives. Thank you, ma'am, for hearing me out. I did ask, you know, the part in the beginning where I was congratulating you guys to not count as part of my speech, but apparently it did anyway. But I still thank you all. You guys are doing a wonderful job, a bang-up job.
I was called in the last batch. I'm John Floyd. I'd like to comment on public comment. I've been coming to school board meetings for about 20 years, and public comment was a chance to speak before the board. It was, by its nature, informal. Anyone could say anything within the bounds of decency. You signed up when you showed up, little slips of paper. Some people would decide to speak while they were there, and if the gavel hadn't landed, public comment remained open. There wasn't an expectation of hurtful or decisive comments, and generally they didn't follow. And the board was genuinely interested in what folks cared enough to speak up about. The push through school board policies over the past 10 years, April 7th, 2014, when the time limits and the means of sign up and things started being introduced strictly. I would suggest this is a push to control what people think and how they can speak. You might say, well, we replaced a left-leaning board with a right-leaning board, and that's why things changed. You might say that's a great thing. You might say it's not a great thing. I don't think that is the issue. I think the issue is this. Each school board since 2014 has added more controls to freedom of speech. limits on how you sign up, limits on who can speak, limits on what you can speak about. School board leadership, it seems, has gone from servant leadership to power politics. It's gone from attracting people concerned with education to attracting people who want to be in politics. I think that's a mistake. The latest policy revision on public comment includes in the text, I can't tell if it's being incorporated or it has been incorporated, but it lists the name and email address of the one person, an eminently qualified person, but it lists one person with whom you must communicate to sign up. If that person was unavailable per the policy adoption, there would be no way to sign up. Now, obviously, that was not the intention of the wording change, to list one person as one point of contact, but it's indicative of the care that was put into this revision to the school board policy, which is to say, very little care.
There are no more speakers.
Okay. If there are no more speakers, I call public comment closed. Moving on to superintendent's recommendations.
Yes, thank you very much, ma'am. We have Mr. Honaker as well as Dr. Wolfer here this evening. We are going to start with a supplemental appropriation. So Gary, I'll turn it over to you, and I think Judy's ready if there are additional questions.
Good evening. I'm here to ask for a supplemental appropriation for federal funds, Title I, Title III, and a remainder of, I believe it's ESSER II funds. Anyone have any questions about this? All right. Thank you.
Madam Chair, would you accept a motion on this?
Sure. Yes.
I move to approve the supplemental appropriations for fiscal year 2024 totaling $249,933.04 as presented.
Second? I'll second that. All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye. Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the board. And next this evening, from Orange County High School, we have Jackson Hamilton, who is here to bring forward a proposal to add a student member representative to the school board. And Jackson, please feel free to come forward. Ms. Byron will pull up your presentation, and you can just kind of let her know when you would like her to proceed.
Good evening. I am here to present my proposal to add a policy instituting a position of student representative to the school board. Could you move to the next slide? The key objectives of this policy are, number one, to include students in the decision-making process. This is something that I know the school board and the school system already prioritizes because it is included as a parameter within the strategic plan, and to establish a two-way communication process with all segments of the community. This is included in the board member code of conduct, and so I know this is already something the board values. And so I know you're all probably asking, we already have public comment, why isn't that enough for students to be heard? So public comment is one-way communication, and according to the school board's policy, the school board members generally do not respond to public comment at the meeting. And so students are not able to immediately receive a response to their concerns, even if they speak, and so they may feel that their concerns are not being addressed. In order for students to truly be involved in decision-making, students need to literally have a seat at the table and to be able to discuss their concerns with the board. And so, to clear up a conception, I am proposing that there will be 2 student representatives instead of 1, because in my experience meeting with my high school's principal and with other student council members as the student council president, I have realized that I am only one person and I cannot possibly represent all of the different voices and perspectives of the student body. And by including 2 student representatives instead of just 1, more student voices will be able to be heard. And 2 is also a good limit, because having a cap at 2 helps the students to build a relationship, a working relationship with the board members over the course of their 1 school year term. So one of the key questions to be addressed is how the student representatives are selected. And so there are 2 different processes that are commonly used. One is for the board to directly appoint student representatives. And while this does give the board absolute control of the process, it also makes the position less representative, because the students do not actually have any say in who their representatives are. The second common option is for students to directly elect the representatives. And while this provides the students with more control, it also prevents the board from having as much of a say in who they have to work with. And so, can you move on to the next slide? And so my proposal is that the selection process be a compromise between the 2 options. This process would occur at the end of each school year. The first step would be students would submit applications and applicants would be interviewed by the board or the board's designee. The board would then approve up to 5 candidates from the applicants, and then in the next step, the Orange County High School student body plus incoming 9th graders would vote on the candidates. And in the third step, the candidate with the most votes, having already been approved by the board in the candidate selection process, would be 1 student member, and the board would have the option to, at its discretion, appoint a 2nd member of the board, a 2nd student representative to the board from the remaining candidates. This would add additional diversity of viewpoints and perspectives. And so there would be a few limitations on the role of student representatives, primarily because they would be legally required. First, student representatives would not be able to cast a binding vote on any issue. They would not be able to participate in closed session, and they would not be able to have access to confidential information. These are necessary safeguards that will not restrict the students' ability to share their voice and the voice of the student body with the board. And so there are some key responsibilities and duties of the student representatives. The student representatives must attend at least 75% of board meetings with public comment, because they need to actually be present in order to share the voice of the students with the board. And at each of these public meetings, the student representatives will provide a report on behalf of the students of Orange County, detailing key concerns and feedback from the students. And crucially, at each meeting they attend, the student representatives will sit at the table with the board so that they will be able to participate in discussion with the board, allowing them to share their voice. So the student representatives will have a couple of additional discretionary abilities. They will also be able to choose to attend work sessions, and if they do so, they will be able to participate in discussions on matters before the board, but like with regular meetings, they will not be able to cast a binding vote. And after any vote taken by the board, excluding closed session votes, the student representatives may state how they would have hypothetically voted if they had been allowed to, but such a statement must come with an explanation of their reasoning. So I developed this policy in collaboration with Ms. Jamerson, my student council advisor, Mr. Price, my principal, and several other student council members. Ms. Jameson's suggestion, this policy was modeled off of the policies of Manassas City Public Schools and Albemarle County Public Schools. But the selection process, which I recommended, is primarily my own original idea because I constructed that as a compromise between the two common methods of selection so that both the board and the students would have a substantial say. Are there any questions from the board?
Open it up for questions.
That was very thorough. Outstanding job, Jackson. I would like to get a little bit more information from Ms. J and what some of these other counties are doing. Maybe just a little bit more detail. That would be great. And then you're the president. I didn't follow that particular part.
I'm the president of the Orange County High School Student Council.
The student council. How many members on your student council?
I mean, the student council, the student council members, probably about 70 of this, yes.
70 members? Y'all get 70 people together? It's usually 4. No kidding. That's impressive. I look forward to hearing a little bit more about that. Jackson, outstanding job. I will say for the general public, when I announced I was running for office, this young man gave me some of the toughest questions. And I look forward to voting for him in the future in that position. And very well educated in the topics, and definitely kept me on my toes, so I thank you for that.
Jack, just so you know, Stafford, about probably less than a year ago, implemented this as well. So that could be a model you all can look at as you further refine your proposals, etc. So they have it where they have two. They have the representative, and then they have an alternate, right? So there's the alternate that can sit in, generally at different grade levels. Usually one's a senior, one's a junior. So there's more potential there for you to refine.
I would say that I'm kind of with Jack. We can get a little bit more information about what they're actually doing and maybe the process of how they selected their appointees. Be helpful. Thank you for your presentation. Very good.
Jackson, I would like to thank you also. Absolutely great presentation. I know that you did a lot of research as to what other school divisions do within our state and outside of the state. Personally, as a employee of a school division for 15 plus years in California, having a non-voting student representative sitting at board meetings was an absolute pleasure. The insight that they provide, the ability to help board members really understand what is important to the students, I think is a great opportunity for us to be able to listen and give the students that voice and that opportunity to share their feelings, their thoughts, and their opinions. I also had the chance to work with Jackson in the action committee on the strategic planning team last year. Jackson is, again, so insightful, so detail-oriented, so interested in the democratic process and allowing students to participate in that. My biggest concern, I guess my only concern at this point, is timing. Jackson is a senior, and I would love to give him the opportunity to work with his student council and develop the process going forward. Obviously, that requires policy agreement with the board, but it can be a living type of a document. It could be something that could be started now and continue to be refined as we go forward into the following year. That would allow us also to look at additional documentation, how it has been done in other school divisions throughout the state or elsewhere. And, you know, again, just be very thoughtful and thorough in how we develop this and bring it forward. But personally, I would advocate for Jackson to be involved in that, because he's only got till May 17th, I believe, to stay with us, and it would be nice to see him and have him working towards the fruits of that opportunity. So that would be my vote.
Thank you. Jackson, I'm very impressed by your presentation. It's very thorough and well thought through, and I appreciate the time and effort you put into it. I am curious, it's on slide number 6. It says students will submit applications, and I'm wondering if you have an application in mind, the kinds of questions you might ask on that application. Are we looking at students with certain academic credentials or community service credentials or extracurricular credentials? What are you thinking?
So I have an application document that I created. I don't remember what was asked off the top of my head. I believe one of the key components is, again, the interview, so the board can evaluate the candidates, but also because of the fact that ideally the process would at least possibly be based on a student election. The students would evaluate to some extent. But to answer your question, I feel like the right applicant would be somebody who is involved in different activities, so that they have a picture of what the students need, like so that they are a representative student. But I feel like you would not necessarily want to have a specific, or at least not an onerous GPA requirement, because that would potentially exclude a truly representative student. And so you would want to not have an extremely strict GPA requirement, but you would want it to be somebody who's involved in many activities within the school.
Thank you. It just so happens I happen to be with Mrs. Robin Williams today, and she's a school board member in Manassas City, and I knew that this was coming up tonight, so I talked to her a little bit about it and her thoughts about it, and she's very favorable and says it has been a really good experience for them. So I would like to see what other divisions have in place and really, give this some serious thought. But your presentation was outstanding. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to echo what everybody said. Public speaking, you have that nailed down. I don't know that as a senior I would have been able to do what you just did, so I think that's deserving of applause. And I do want to congratulate you on the research that you did in collaboration with other adults. So that's an outstanding thing. So I would just ask that we all give you a round of applause here.
May I ask, Superintendent, is there the ability to bring Jackson back, and the chair, excuse me, to bring him back and provide additional documentation, additional information, again, at our next meeting, which is gonna be at the end of April, which would then allow him 2 weeks to actually work with the student council. And would the board possibly be willing to provide direction to start the process, knowing that we want to continue working to make it, again, Orange County's process and not just a replication of something else, but more specific to what this board is interested in.
I think, if I may, I think it would behoove us to allow you to develop answers to the questions tonight and then reapproach. I think that if you send an email saying, hey, you're ready, that we can approve that. I don't necessarily think that we should put a timeline, because I don't want to limit what he has as well.
So if he was ready to come back tomorrow and present and provide us 5 different plans, can we have a special meeting? I mean, let's support the student. Let's support him. He works hard. He is amazing. Give him a chance to make this dream a reality. Give this board a chance to go in a little bit different direction. That again is a non-voting position, but it just allows us to see what's important to our student body.
I would like to see the information, just so we can kind of wrap our heads around it, so we understand it, so we have more questions that we can ask you at a next meeting. So if you could get some information for us, and then we can reach back out to you and determine if the next meeting is appropriate, if we're all in consensus that we've all been able to have a chance to look through it. So I'd appreciate that. But thank you again for your presentation. Well done.
Okay, so the information you want is more information on what other divisions are doing, correct?
Correct, and then also like if you've come up with a questionnaire or a survey that you would be asking the students that you would be electing through the school, like what questions are you going to be asking at the school level? What questions would you like us to ask the students as well?
For the application, okay,
Exactly.
thank you.
Yes, thank you.
If I could, just one more curiosity question. In developing this idea, have you had a lot of interest in your student body of, yeah, I'd really love to do that. I'd love to fill out an application and be a student member? Or has it kind of gotten out in the student body?
I'll be honest, there hasn't been a ton of interest yet, but I feel like there'll be more interest once it's an actual thing and not just a proposal or an idea.
Thanks, Jackson.
Thank you,
Do
Jackson.
you have any copies of other school divisions' policy proposal, how they do this? Have you seen other school divisions' actual process?
Yes, I have. I've seen some of the policy documents, especially for Manassas and Albemarle. I looked at those documents. I can send you all the documents I looked at and a few more when I send you an email.
That'd be perfect.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you
very much.
Thank you.
We're good? Thank you. So moving on to board member items, we have public comment guidelines discussion. Ms. Butcher, would you like to start off?
Sure. My proposal is going to be the same. I believe that we need to have better guidelines. I know it came up in public comment tonight, and I want to reiterate that this is not to mandate content of your speeches. This is to maintain an environment that is acceptable in a business setting. Think of a courtroom. Additionally, we on occasion have minors present, so we need to make sure that we are holding ourselves to the utmost respect, respecting your time, respecting our time, respecting staff's time. And I think that this document doesn't do anything outside of just put parameters in place. We saw this evening, there were a couple of times when we had to address some of the crowd or certain things. So I think that just having those reminders in place so that way we know there's a guideline and this is the expectation moving forwards. But again, this is not a limit on your First Amendment. This is not a restriction on what you say. It's just on how things are presented. So during public comment, that is a platform for you all to talk to the board. It is not a platform to discuss amongst community members or to talk to staff. You may talk about staff, you may talk about things in the school. I believe it should be pertinent to our school board business. However, this public comment decorum is nothing to restrict the intended speeches. So that being said, the first document would be ideally read prior to public comment, and the second, I'm just making sure that this is the right order, the abbreviated list would be sent out when email signups are received. So I would make a motion that we approve both of these documents as presented. So if there's a second, we could have further discussion.
I'll second it. Is there any discussion on the items?
Yes.
Ms. Harrington.
So the document that we are considering is not needed. We have 2 policies in place that already provide governance on public comment. Policy KD, public participation at school board meetings, and policy KD-R, regulations pertaining to public participation at school board meetings. In fact, policy KD-R was revised in June 2022 by the school board, including Ms. Quintern and Ms. Anderson. So why are we even considering this document again? I don't understand. Our existing policies address everything in this document except for 3 statements, all of which are detrimental to public trust and confidence, in my opinion. This first statement, to uphold decorum, we also kindly request that applause, noise making, or any other disruptive behavior be avoided before, during, and after a member of the public addresses the board. This has not been a problem for at least a year since I have been attending school board meetings, and yet all of a sudden, we want to tell the public they can't express their support for a speaker? Why? Why do we want to restrain the audience? How about we do this instead? We simply ask the audience to raise their hand when they agree with a speaker, rather than applaud. It's an easy solution, easily reinforced. It gives the audience the ability to show their support, and it shows the board how many audience members agree with the speaker, all without the disruptive applause. The second statement is a problem. Policy KD-R already allows the chair to, quote, prohibit comment that the chair deems to be offensive or which interrupts or disturbs the reasonable conduct of the meeting, end quote. This document adds, any conduct that violates the established decorum and order as determined by the chair or their designee may result in disciplinary action, including potential expulsion from the meeting, end quote. First of all, what does disciplinary action mean? How would we discipline a member of the public? On top of that, this language allows the chair to capriciously expel a member of the audience for any reason they alone decide. While the current chair may not use this policy capriciously, this document would provide governance for all future boards, and we do not know who will be in the chair 2, 5, 10, or even 15 years from now. This is bad policy. The third statement is, it is crucial to emphasize that these guidelines are not intended to restrict freedom of speech, but rather to ensure effective communication between the public and their public service, end quote. Why is that statement even needed? If it is needed because the community may think the guidelines are intended to restrict freedom of speech, then we really have a problem with public trust and confidence. Again, I ask why. Why are we even considering this document? The closest reason I can find is an email sent to Ms. Anderson, Ms. Dawson, Ms. Quintern, and Dr. Hornick on March 5th of 2024. The email was forwarded to me and Mr. Rickett by Dr. Hornick so that we all had the same information. The email stated, I would also suggest that at the opening of public comments, the chair should remind those in attendance that, 1, they should neither express applause, support, nor disapproval of other speakers, and all remarks should be addressed to either OCPS or the OCPS school board. not to other attendees and/or speakers present in the room. In her comment last night, at least 3 times another speaker looked directly at me and accused me of making divisive remarks. This is not the first time she has engaged in ad hominem attacks. All speakers' remarks should only be directed to OCPS and/or the OCPS school board members. Please let me know if you agree. So I had asked at the last meeting when this was brought forward, is this a proactive or a reactive document that was being presented? I was told it was a proactive. I disagree. I see the same language in the email that was received that is being put into the document being brought forward. Finally, I would say if you compare the documents to both the 2014 documents and the subsequent revised documents from June of 2022, you will see that some of this information is in direct conflict with policy that is currently in place. So I absolutely think that this has been a waste of time. I think that we need to talk more and focus more on students. This was an amazing meeting for students. I will not be voting for this.
May I respond, Madam Chair? So I would like to reiterate that we had issues this evening, and I apologize, but with clapping and booing from the audience. And I believe that the speakers deserve their time, they deserve their 3 minutes, and the audience deserves to have a public comment that moves swiftly and with purpose. So I think that it may have been reactive, but not in a sense of to an individual. This has been an ongoing issue, and that was also discussed at the last meeting. There have been several instances in the last 2 years that I've been on the board that the decorum was not a place that I would want to be part of if I was the public. I think that this needs to be a respectful environment. Again, I reiterate that there are minors sometimes present, and we need to remind ourselves that we are all adults and we all need to own up to our own behavior. And at the end of the day, this is the school board. This is already in school board policy, and I don't think that this goes in contradiction to anything that we've got going on. I would like to move forward with this process tonight, so that way it can no longer be an issue holding up the public, and so we can set the expectation moving forward and move on.
If I could add, the intent of all of this was just to reiterate what's already policy that we have in place, that there are expectations for a meeting. And I did look up, this has actually been settled in law. There was a lawsuit, Fairfield versus Liberty Independent School District case, which was decided by the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, which addresses the nature of school board's public comment session. And the court ruled that the session constitutes what we call a limited public forum. And that designation outlines the extent of control that the board may exert over such sessions. So what that means is we can allow public comment, community feedback within established guidelines, and it can also set reasonable non-discriminatory limits on speech related to time, place, and manner of the session. We put the part in there about First Amendment because we've been accused of trying to trample First Amendment. And that's the last thing any of the 5 of us are interested in doing. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you think, even those of you that we may disagree with. We can disagree without being disagreeable. We can talk about things without screaming and yelling and clapping and booing and shouting and hissing. And yes, that has happened in this very boardroom. So how many of you don't have to raise your hand, rhetorical question, when you sign up for public comment, do you run to the policy manual to read what it says? You probably don't. We have 3 binders worth of policy. Well, maybe one of you does, thank you. But generally, this is just a gentle reminder, a little nudge to say, we need to be civil adults. We need to have public discourse that is polite and respectful and an example for our students, and not going beyond that. So I am in favor of saying, this is just a reminder. we're not asking anybody to limit your speech. I will vote for this.
And I would just reiterate my opinion that this is a waste of time. Thank you.
We had 10 people sign up to speak, so I would just like to thank all 10 people that spoke. I appreciated some things I agreed with, some things I disagreed with it, but I still paid attention and listened. So sometimes there's going to be people that are going to be upset, and some people are not going to be happy, you know, about the different things. But I know the one thing that I ran for was to get things done that benefit education. And we're spending a lot of time on some of these other things. So that being said, everyone that spoke tonight, I hope you come back and speak again. Thank you.
Well, I would just like to add that, again, I believe this is just policy reiterated, and I think it's just a matter of the board expressing specifics so that everybody has it on hand when they're signed up to speak. Again, I don't see anything in here that would prohibit any type of speech. I feel that it's a well-worded document, and I think it, like I said, I think it corresponds to what we already have in policy. So it's not creating something new. So I would actually like to call the vote.
It was moved in second. Would it be all in favor?
All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No.
Motion passes. And then last but not least, well, not least, board member comments.
Madam Chair, I do have an update from the Academy of Technology and Innovation at University of Mary Washington. It's a lot of great work going on. We are collaborating with Mary Washington University, for those of you that don't know. We currently have interviews happening for staff. This is a widespread board, and I think Orange might be the furthest out, but we've got King George, Spotsylvania pulled out, Caroline, Fredericksburg, and Stafford. We did approve a calendar for the upcoming year. We will be coming back to the Orange County School Board, just as a heads up, to approve a joint operated schools agreement. Orange County has some students already in line to begin next year. We discussed 5 seats at large lottery, so any students that want to participate in the program that are not in the districts that are signed up, they have the ability to join in. We are in the process of adopting a policy regarding tuition for non-partners. Additionally, if those seats are not filled, then they will be extended to the partner schools. They are requesting a $1 to $2 million grant for building labs, supporting teachers with computer science endorsements, internships, praxis, etc. We're going to be holding informal Q&A sessions. They are having summer curriculum writing. They'll have a formal onboarding late summer, and they're hopeful that they will have some connections with the College of Education for college students currently enrolled at Mary Washington. Students, they plan on having 2 orientations, one in early and one in late summer, so that way they don't impede on family vacations. They also intend on having parent sessions at orientation, launch a PTO, and extend opportunities to parents with a newsletter, etc. So all in all, it's still very, very new, but I'm excited to be partnering with this. Dr. Hornick and I have been to 2 meetings. Right. I've been to 2, I know Dr. Hornick might have been to more. But we also hired our first employee as well. So we've got 3 students committed from Orange County, and I know that I'm very excited for this program.
Actually, we are now filled. It came in, we have all 5 of the seats.
All 5?
Yep, since the meeting we attended, we're filled now. So we're happy to be, and I believe we have 7 on the wait list as well, so we had quite a bit of interest from it.
I thought about just delaying this, but since we're getting so close to the end of the year and I'm very interested in finding out prior to our teachers having their summer break, I've been doing some light evening reading of the Standards of Quality. It's always fun. And I discovered that under Standard 5, number G1, this is what's written. The school board annually reviews its professional development program for quality, effectiveness, participation by instructional personnel, and relevancy to the instructional needs of teachers and the academic achievement needs of the students in the school division. And I just haven't seen anything like that. I haven't heard about us doing anything like that. Do we get a report about what PD has been offered? Do we hear from teachers about how they felt about it? Was it effective or not? And again, you all know I was a public school educator for a long time, and one of my biggest pet peeves, and I bet every teacher in here would give me an amen, is time wasted on irrelevant PD. So I'm very interested in what teachers feel about what we're offering. And this apparently can be accompanied by a staff survey specific to PD. So we don't have to discuss this tonight. I'm just kind of dropping it out there. Maybe we can add it to the next agenda and get some feedback from staff about how do we meet this SOQ. And we have to sign off as a board on the compliance report for it. So I'd like to know what I'm signing off on. Thank you.
Sarah, do you have anything?
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just was wondering, Dr. Hornick, if you've had any opportunity to reach out and start looking for someone to provide us some additional governance training. I think that we definitely have continued work ahead to make sure that we are all working in the same direction for student achievement and education. And I really am interested in looking at that coach that ties the governance training into what's really going on with our students and the academic program that we're providing them. So I don't know if you've had a chance to look at anything like that yet, but I would really love to have that on the table, or at least a date, tentative date, sooner than later.
I can do that for you, that's no problem.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am?
Could I revisit one more thing? Oh, sorry, you're still going?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just the other thing that I would also ask for administration to assist with, I believe when we first had, it was about our first or second reorganization meeting, we were talking about having some information provided to provide us comparative analysis over what type of services the VSBA and or other organizations may provide to boards relative to governance, policy making. I've been doing a lot of research, but I don't think that it's something that I can present to the board because that would be a little conflict. And I didn't know if you had started looking at anything like that, and if not, I would respectfully request that.
One thing. To the principals of the teachers, the art teachers that were here today, greatly appreciate that support. I didn't get a chance to thank them. It didn't feel like the time. That was obviously the best part of the meeting.
Yeah. I would like to go ahead, you can go ahead and finish yours.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that I'm particularly interested on the PD piece on what's going to be put in place for the Literacy Act implementation, which is fall. And I probably should back up a step and say, I'm not saying we're wasting time on PD, but I want to make sure that it's great, relevant PD that's really helping our teachers get their jobs done and improve, so that there's not wasted time on PD. Just clarify.
So we're going to do a strategic plan update on the 29th, and the focus area is the instruction group with Renee and Judy. So we were planning to include any relevant data, an update on the Virginia Literacy Act, and certainly won't be a problem at all to incorporate what we do for professional development. Most of our professional development is actually led by our lead teachers. as well as our coordinators in particular. And so that's where the vast majority of it comes from, based on the needs that we hear from them. And so we can easily incorporate that into the April 29th work session.
So I have one last comment. I would like to comment regarding my town hall and Speaker Mr. Huddleston. It is unfortunate that the community was not able to hear the message regarding the effects of technology on our children. I believe that this is a crucial component to learning. Mr. Huddleston is a Christian, but this is not the purpose of his message. I am also a Christian, which I am sure most of you know. My reason for choosing him was not his religion, but the wealth of knowledge he has on the subject. I would hope that in the future we are able to have him back, and I would ask for the community to hear his message before judgment is placed. A few things that were pointed out was that I chose a private event or private venue. The reason for choosing was it was a large facility to house a number of people, also opening the doors to all Orange County citizens, not just parents with students. The other thing that was pointed out was that there was an RSVP. The RSVP was because I was supporting a 2023 graduate of Orange County Public Schools who was set to provide refreshments at the town hall. Moving forward, I would greatly appreciate that the public would refrain from discrimination prior to having all of the facts. Thank you. Is there anything else? Ms. Dawson, closed session certification, please.
Pursuant to 2.2-3711A of the Code of Virginia, the Orange County School Board will convene a closed meeting for the following: discussion of personnel or the performance of a division employee as authorized by section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia for resignation, termination, transfer, employment, salary adjustment, and retirement of employees. Consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by the school board regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel as authorized by section 2.2-3711A8 of the Code of Virginia.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor by saying aye? Aye. We're in closed session.
See you around then. See you Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Thursday.
Is Will doing the UMW thing, or does he have? Good form. See you
I'll tell you what. How do you feel about snakes?
No, I don't hate them like I'm.
Why can't you
sell them?
I don't know.
Ball python breeders who can get like $100,000 for where we can sell for thousands of dollars.
But you must have to have a license.
Yeah.
Just keep them there. He just bought a new house. Is what the problem is, and they're not ready for that.
I guess you should go.
I think your parents are probably very excited to see
Yeah.
that she's good.
For students?
No, for
Okay.
staff. This is only a staff room.
Right.
Walk on at 4 o'clock. I don't need to walk on before the night before 4.
Okay.
Yeah, so what other wishes?
I would like to reconvene this meeting. Ms. Dawson, closed session certification, please.
Whereas the Orange County School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law, now therefore be it resolved that the Orange County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered.
Yes, anybody second?
Second.
Ms. Byron, roll call.
Ms. Anderson?
Aye.
Ms. Dawson?
Aye.
Ms. Harrington?
Aye.
Ms. Winter?
Aye.
Mr. Rickett?
Aye.
Madam Chair, the clerk certifies the vote as follows: 5 yes votes and no votes. The resolution is approved by a 5-0 vote.
Dr. Hornick, disposition of personnel actions.
Yes, recommend approval of the personnel actions as presented in closed session.
I have a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the personnel agenda to include retirement, resignation, transfer, rescind offer, and employment of staff, and coaching appointment.
Second.
I would second that motion.
All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
And I believe that is everything. Anything else? If not, adjourn this meeting.
Thank you.